It means in federalism, clear, the basic concept is of power sharing. We have done two examples in the first chapter when we saw that in Sri Lanka, majoritarianism was practiced, right? And in Belgium, how with the help of power sharing, the problem was resolved. Is it clear? And we had concluded towards the end of the first chapter that it is always better to involve power sharing. So therefore, we see that there is a basic advantage in power sharing as compared to following majoritarian policies. Now here we are going to read that what is federalism? Clear? Federalism is division of power. We have already done vertical division and horizontal division of power. But somewhere or the other, when we will read about the features of the Indian Constitution, or when we see the features of the Indian Constitution, as you have already read in 9th standard. In 9th standard, you have read making of the Indian Constitution, clear? And in the making of the Indian Constitution, you have clearly done that what are the features. So when we see the features of the Indian Constitution, or we talk about that how the Constitution gives the powers, all the powers which the government at any level enjoys, the judiciary, the legislature, the executive at the central level, state, or other levels are given to the governments by the Constitution. The first and the most important thing which we need to remember that the Constitution, the powers which the governments use are derived from the Constitution. Derived from the Constitution means, now what happens? The government changes after every 5 years. Is it clear? So अगर हम कहते हैं कि पावर ये लोग ये जो रूल्स हैं, रेगुलेशंस हैं, ये कैसे बनाते हैं, लॉज कैसे बनते हैं, all these provisions are mentioned in different clauses of the Constitution. And as per these provisions, the governments function. Clear? What are the powers and how the government uses? Clear? So the basic structure of the Indian Constitution, हमें थोड़ा सा इधर पहले ये understand करना पड़ेगा before we go into the features of federalism in India. यहाँ पर अब हम इस chapter में India के federalism के features पढ़ेंगे. Now we all know that we have a written constitution. Clear? Written and a very bulky constitution. Bulky means that we have a massive constitution with a lot of clauses, provisions. Why? Keeping the diversity of India. The constitution makers wanted to include all such provisions, right? And in this process, they studied various constitutions of the world of different countries who had become independent before India, and they had a constitution. That is why sometimes when we talk about the Indian Constitution, the features, we sometimes say that the Indian Constitution is a bag of borrowings. Bag of BAG, bag of borrowings. Borrow करना, किसी से चीज लेना, हम कहते हैं ना borrow करना है, मुझे थोड़ी दिन के लिए दे देना. Similarly, why we use this term for the Indian Constitution? Because our constitution makers, clear, they studied the other constitutions of the world and they took the best features of those constitutions which could be applied successfully in India. Those which could be applied successfully in India, those features were incorporated into the Indian Constitution. As we were already under the British, clear, and the British had already introduced the parliamentary system. We were already working under the parliamentary system. Therefore, when India became independent, clear, we went ahead with the parliamentary system, clear, where we have two heads. One is the head of the state. I told you what is the meaning when we use the word state. When we are doing political science, it means it refers to the country. It doesn't refer to Punjab, Haryana, clear? It refers to, when we say head of the state, we refer to the president, clear? And when we say head of the government, we refer to the Prime Minister of India. Similarly, in UK, they have the Queen, clear, and the Prime Minister. The only difference between the head of the state, that is the Queen, and the President in India is that the Queen is a hereditary head. She's the heir to the throne. It means that from the father to son or from father to daughter, clear, the throne is passed. But on the other hand, the President of India is indirectly elected. Is it clear? So this is the difference. Otherwise, it is the parliamentary system only. The functioning is the same otherwise. Now, when we talk about USA, clear? United States of America, United States. It means the states, clear? The various provinces of America came together to form USA. And they follow federalism. They have president. They have one single head, president, that is the elected head. Though we are using the same term, president here also in India, president in USA also. But these both, only the word is same, otherwise these are apart. As far as the functioning and the meaning is concerned, these are apart. These are not same at all. Clear? Now, some federal features of the US Constitution were adopted in India as well. So when we talk about the Indian federalism or the features of Indian federalism, then we have both kind of features. We have unitary features also in Indian Constitution, and at the same time federal as well. As we will read the chapter, you will come to know. I'll tell you the difference, that on what context can we refer to India as following a federal principles, or what are the provisions or what are the features which gives a unitary status to the state of India. Unitary means where there is collection of authority in one hands, organization, or clear, that means unitary. But when we are saying federal, so we talk about the division of power, which I have already explained to you. So this was a little basic background which you should remember. Then only you will understand that how we are going to see the features of Indian federalism and how we can say that India is actually unitary. Clear? But it has subsidiary federal features. Clear? So as we will read the chapter side by side, I'll explain to you that what I mean by this line, which I have just used. So let's, first of all, they have just given the example in the first paragraph on page number 14, what is federalism? They have given the example again, recalling that what we had read in the first chapter, that is about the status of power sharing in Sri Lanka and in Belgium. Now come to the next paragraph here. So here the definition of the word federalism is given. I'm reading that. Please, you have the Paul Science books with you. Please underline this definition. This is important. Federalism is a system of government in which the power is divided between central authority and various constituent units of the country. So you see the word where power is divided between the central authorities and various constituent units. So what are Punjab, Haryana, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka? What are these? These are the constituent units, clear, of the state of India. That's why so many times you might have heard the word Indian Union. Clear? Usually a federation has two levels of government. One is the government for the entire country. Now what happens in federalism? That we have dual governments. Dual means two. Dual government. One, the central government and the state government. The central government runs the whole country. Clear? But the state government is also there. So there is a division of power. There are some provisions over which the state has the authority and the center does not interfere. But there are certain provisions over which the center has control over the whole country. Now, we are not talking about any other country. We are only referring to India. Is it clear? Next, I'm again repeating those lines. One is the government for the entire country that is usually responsible for a few subjects of common national interest. All right. The others are the government at the level of the provinces or states that look after much of day-to-day administering of their states. So as I told you that as there are certain provisions, which are of national interest. Okay? Kuch aise provisions, clear? We have the Indian Army, Indian Railways, India's foreign policy. Is it clear? The states, that is the constituent units of India, do not have, we have state police. Is it clear? Punjab police hai, Haryana police hai, हिमाचल पुलिस है, ठीक है, बट हमारी इंडियन आर्मी है, राइट? एंड दिस इज व्हाट मेक्स द difference. It means that the center controls. Who is the head of the Indian armed forces? The president. The president is the head of the Indian armed forces. Armed forces means that we include all Army, Air Force, and Navy. All right. So here we see that there are certain, clear, as I have given you this example. Similarly, railways. Railways are again run by the central government. Clear? India's foreign policy. Foreign minister. The Indian constituent units do not have the authority to themselves sign pacts. Clear? अभी आपने ये कोविड वैक्सीन के during भी देखा होगा कि the government is purchasing from other countries and it is distributing to the states. Clear? Right? All right, we'll see that also. Now, there is in the box, it is written, I am confused. What do we call the Indian government? Is it the union, federal, or central? The Indian government is, of course, we use the same union and central. Union government, central government means the same. Federal is a concept. ठीक है? जैसे मैंने आपको बताया यूनिटरी एंड फेडरल. ठीक है? ये दो फॉर्म्स हैं. कैसी फॉर्म्स हैं? ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ विच द पावर्स आर डिवाइडेड. अगर यूनिटरी है तो इट मींस कंसंट्रेशन ऑफ पावर. अगर फेडरल है, ठीक है, तो इट मींस दैट देयर इज डिवीजन ऑफ पावर. When we say the union government or the central government, मैंने आपको अभी बताया Indian Union. Clear? Because it is a union of states. जैसे पहले USSR होता था, यूनियन ऑफ सोवियत सोशलिस्ट रिपब्लिक. यूनियन का क्या मतलब होता है? यूनियन का मतलब होता है इकट्ठे होना, कुछ इकट्ठा होता है, कंबाइंड यूनियन. ठीक है. USSR, यूनियन ऑफ सोवियत सोशलिस्ट रिपब्लिक. क्लियर? जैसे मैंने आपको यूएसए का बताया था, यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका. राइट? सिमिलरली, बट इन 1991 USSR disintegrated. अभी हम इसकी डिटेल नहीं करेंगे. This I'll tell you some other time. All right? Otherwise you will get confused. Let's come back to what we were discussing, that there are certain powers, clear, over which the center has the authority. Clear? But for day-to-day functioning in India, the states have been given certain powers. Clear? Let's see further. अभी ये जो farm laws की dispute हुई थी, I hope you remember or you might have read. अब तो ये बहुत लंबा issue हो गया है, तो you might have read. सबसे पहले इसमें था कि ये जो गवर्नमेंट ने लॉ बनाया है, they shouldn't have made because it is a state subject. ये हम आगे पढ़ते हैं. We have 3 lists, clear, in the Indian Union list, clear, state list and the concurrent list. ये lists क्या है? इन lists में subject list किए गए हैं. Subject means area of authority over which the center or the state has jurisdiction. Jurisdiction means that area under control. जो subject union list में दिए गए हैं, उन पे किसकी authority है? Union government की, to frame laws. जो सब्जेक्ट स्टेट लिस्ट में दिए गए हैं, उस पे किसकी अथॉरिटी है? टू मेक लॉज ऑफ द स्टेट. एंड देयर इज अनदर लिस्ट, दैट इज द कॉन्करेंट लिस्ट. आपने जूनियर क्लासेस में ये पढ़ी हुई है. कॉन्करेंट लिस्ट, द सब्जेक्ट्स which are mentioned in the concurrent list, both the center and the state have the authority to make the law. But in case there is a clash, क्लैश का मतलब है कि किसी एक सेम सब्जेक्ट पे, उसके किसी सेम क्लॉज पे सेंटर ने भी बना दिया है लॉ और स्टेट ने भी बना दिया है. क्लियर? सो अंडर सच सर्कमस्टांसेस द लॉ मेड बाय द सेंटर विल प्रिवेल. अब ये जो मैंने आपको एग्जांपल दिया है, ये क्या हमें बताता है? दैट इंडिया हैज यूनिटरी फीचर्स एज वेल. फेडरल होने के साथ साथ इंडिया एक यूनिटरी फीचर्स रखता है. क्लियर? दिस इज व्हाट गिव्स मोर अथॉरिटी टू द सेंटर, मेकिंग इट मोर पावरफुल, एंड दस उसमें कुछ हमें यूनिटरी फीचर्स की रिफ्लेक्शन मिलती है. सिमिलरली रेजिड्यूरी पावर्स. रेजिड्यू क्या होता है? Can I have it in the chat box, please? What is residue? You all read about this in science. Hurry up, let's see. What is residue? Leftover. Leftover what? To everything we will say residue. If the food is leftover, food is called residue. Remains. Remains of what? Remains of any product. Can anyone be a little more specific? Can you be a little more specific to explain residue? Anyway, generally, if we use the word residue, when you burn coal, when you burn, clear, wood, it can be, of course, otherwise as well also, the ashes which are left with us, residue. Similarly, residuary powers. Residuary powers means those subjects. अब हमने पढ़ा कि यूनियन लिस्ट, स्टेट लिस्ट एंड कॉन्करेंट लिस्ट में सब्जेक्ट्स हैं. It means those areas over which these three can make laws. अब रेजिड्यूरी सब्जेक्ट्स कौन से हैं? Those subjects which have not been included in any of the three lists and can arise with the changing times. We have a very exhaustive constitution. मैंने आपको बताया बहुत बल्कि और heavy constitution है हमारा. But still, everything could not be included in the constitution at that time when it was being framed. That is why we had the provision of amendments. Amendments help us to make some changes in the constitution without disturbing the basic structure of the constitution. Clear? तो छोटी छोटी amendments होती रहती हैं. Similarly, the residuary powers means कुछ ऐसे subjects जो हमारे आने वाले टाइम में और अब कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के बनने के बाद उठे और उनको जरूरी समझा गया कि दे शुड बी इंक्लूडेड इन द प्रोविजन ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. क्लियर? Those residuary powers are also with the center, with the union government. Clear? एक मैंने आपको कॉन्करेंट लिस्ट में बताया, कंडीशन बताई एक. दूसरा मैंने आपको बताया रेजिड्यूरी पावर्स के बारे में. क्लियर? दैट दे ऑल्सो गो टू द. तो ये भी क्या फीचर है? जब हम फीचर करेंगे कंपैरिजन में हम करेंगे दैट व्हाट आर द फीचर्स व्हिच गिव द स्टेटस ऑफ अ यूनिटरी कैरेक्टर जो है वो इंडिया को देता है इन पैरेलल टू फेडरलिज्म. तो तब ये दो पॉइंट्स हैं, you will recall at that time. Clear? So we'll read further. Both these levels of government enjoy their power independent of the each other. Independent of the each other means that कि ये नहीं है कि रोज दखल अंदाजी हो. There are few things over which the center can ask the states to operate, उनको काम करने के लिए, ठीक है? They can interfere, but generally in day-to-day provisions, this does not happen. In this sense, federations are contrasted with union governments. Under the unitary system, either there is one level of the government or subunits are subordinate to the central government. Subordinate to the central government means that they are not independent. ठीक है? Subordinate का मतलब होता है किसी के कंट्रोल के अंडर रहना. ठीक है? अभी हमने पढ़ा कुछ ऐसे प्रोविजंस हैं, ठीक है? But at the same time, there are certain provisions over which the state has independence. Clear? So they are not wholly subordinate. The central government can pass on orders to the provincial or the local governments, but in a federal system, the central government cannot order the state government and has power of its own for which it is not answerable to the central government. Both these governments are separately answerable to the people. Clear? Central government also and the state government also. Ab jaise generally what is happening, what we are discussing, what the states are telling. If you listen to the discussion sometimes on TV, clear debates are there. Generally people and the state governments are blaming the center for not controlling the COVID condition properly. In the first phase or in the first virus attack, India could manage. That time everyone was praising the government. हम सब government की praise कर रहे थे. That government has done very well. Lockdown was there and very quickly we could contain. Clear? It did not spread as it spread this time. Of course, now the graph is going down. Clear? But at the same time, now the government has to bear with the criticism as well. Is it clear? Because it is answerable to the people. ये हमने किया था ना? Why power sharing is important? किया था हमने prudential reasons and moral reasons में किया था ना ये बात. That over which it is ruling. Clear? People are being ruled by the state government. Clear? And on the other hand, they are being ruled by the central government as well. Like there are certain taxes which we pay to the center directly, income tax. And on the other hand, the state has also the authority. Recently, 1 or 2 years back, the Punjab government imposed a professional tax on the working professionals. We had to pay that tax also. So it means the center and the state both. ठीक है, अब ये जो लास्ट लाइन हमने पढ़ी थी, both these governments are separately answerable to the people. अगर हमें प्रॉब्लम होती तो हम स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से भी ऑब्जेक्ट करते हैं. अब हम जैसे पंजाब में कह रहे हैं कि the government has not been able to contain the COVID condition very properly. Here we saw that the medical infrastructure was not in such good condition as it should have been. ठीक है, and at the same time we are questioning the central government as well. Is it clear? So for today, we'll do this much. So if you have any doubts, please let me know in the